Hi, my name's Aaron. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about sexuality, faith, and everything in between. Today I wanted to talk about an experience I had quite a few years ago. I wanted to share this experience with you in the hope that this will help you if this is you. When I was single, I was using apps to try and meet guys, obviously for dates, but sometimes for other stuff as well. I would talk to guys often on some of these apps. One evening, when I was sitting in my house alone, I was sitting in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. I remember this clearly because afterwards, when the situation happened, I just remember thinking this is quite ridiculous. As I was sitting in my house, this guy started to message me. We just messaged a few times. I don't really know why I started talking to him. He didn't have a picture on his profile. He just had a blank profile. The app, by the way, was Grindr. I don't mind saying it. This was way back in the day when Grindr was still an okay place to talk to people and not everyone was overly weird. As we were talking, I start to get a bit of his story. It was a very sad story. I got a lot of this from the chats that we had, and this was all in one evening, by the way. He told me how he was married to a woman and how he had a 1 year old daughter. He told me that he had attempted suicide twice, and one of the attempts, his wife had found him with tablets lying on the floor. He told me how he went to church. He told me that he could never live his true life because of the expectation of his family and also because of his responsibilities to his family. His personal beliefs also denied him the ability to live his true life. And so he got married to a woman, now has a child, and had attempted suicide twice. He made mention of the fact that he wanted to meet up to chat, which I was very okay with. I had no other interest in him, but I felt very drawn to him. Years before, I was always very worried and scared that I would be in a very similar situation to him, that I would be going to church, having married a woman simply to keep up pretenses, but also to try and live the correct life. I was so sad for this man. I honestly can't remember his name, but I can see his car and his face very clearly. I was so sorry for this man. I didn't want to meet up with him because it was quite late at night and I was quite tired. He did say, however, that he wanted to meet up to chat, and I had no reason not to except for the fact that I was tired. He did make mention as well of how he was feeling very depressed, and obviously because he told me that he had already tried to commit suicide twice, I did feel very worried for him as well. We agreed to meet up in a local car park of a gym. As I went there driving my Aggo, a very small car, he lands up in his Mercedes and I got into the car. We just chatted and I was so overcome with relief and also great sorrow. The relief came as how I was looking at this person and realized this is how my life could have turned out. I could have been this man who was sitting in a very nice car with a baby seat in the back, married to a woman who I'm sure was lovely, by the way, and yet so deeply depressed, unhappy, and willing to try and end it all just to escape. That was where the sorrow came in. The relief, however, was that I would not be in that situation. It was devastating. Talking to him, seeing him, having him tell me about his father, and he had passed away by that point. It was soul destroying to watch and so sad to see. I think about him often because I know that that could have been me. I'm so glad that that is not me. I'm so glad that I had the right people around me, including my dad and my doctor, to point me in the right direction, that I was inquisitive to get some answers for myself, and that I was able to make the right decision. A lot of Christians who watch this video will say I made the wrong decision, but having met him and heard his experience and hearing how he is not dealing with life, it's something else. As I talked to him, I asked him what would he say to his daughter if she came to him in 15 years and says, "Dad, I'm a lesbian." He said that'll be fine. And then I asked him, why can't it be fine for you then? And so I don't know what happened to him. We never spoke after that. He drove away and so did I. I have no idea what happened, and I've always been curious. I'm not even sure where he lives or where he's from. I can't actually remember his name. I never knew his surname or his family name. I didn't know what church he went to. I simply knew one tiny little detail, and that was where he worked. But the place he worked has thousands of employees with many subdivisions. I would never find him. And yet I do think about him often. I think about how he's doing. I think about what happened next. Did he try suicide again? Did he actually do it correctly this time? Did he even maybe leave his wife? Did he maybe confess everything to his wife and say, look, I can't do this anymore? I really hope he did, because I don't think it's fair for him to stay with her pretending to be something that he's not, and also giving his wife a false impression. I think it's better for everyone to be truthful and honest. Part of the reason I wanted to make this YouTube channel was to be truthful and honest, and also, if I can, inspire some people who need that push, that shove, that nudge to be truthful and honest as well. If you're that person who's going through the motions of a straight relationship or a traditional relationship just to pretend or just to try and blend in with society at large, I would say be careful. Pretending all your life is very difficult. As someone who pretended for a long time, I can tell you it's very difficult. Please don't feel the societal pressure to do those things, because eventually it will crush you. I do think about him often, and obviously as I'm making this video, I think about him right now. I hope he's alive. I hope he's well. I hope his daughter, who would now be about 6 or 7 years old, has a loving father. I hope that he has found the courage to come out and to admit who he actually is. And I hope his wife, potentially now ex-wife, is supportive and loving enough and gracious enough to give him that. I wanted to make this video again just because there are so many people like him. I know he's not the only one locally, and I know he's definitely not the only one in the world. Watching this video and you're like him, please think about what you're doing before you try and live a lie. Thanks.